So now we had something called as fast Ethernet. Now next is Ethernet. So we are studying here the evolution of Ethernets. So we have seen various Ethernet. So we had seen something called as 10 base 5, then 10 base 2, then we had seen 10 base T, and then 10 base F, and then we had seen bridged Ethernet. Then we had seen what I meant to say. Uh, with separate collision domain, and with what I meant to say bandwidth enhancement. Then we had seen you know switched Ethernet, bridge Ethernet, then switch Ethernet, and next was something called as what I'm saying full duplex switched Ethernet, and after that came something called as fast Ethernet. So this fast Ethernet has the transmission rate in 1990s. So what I have talked so far was available till 1980s. I mean to say 81, 82, 83, and so on up to 89. 1990 onwards, fast Ethernet was introduced, and this supported a data rate of 100 Mbps. Right. And there was, every effort was made by the designers of 100 Mbps fast Ethernet to the keep this fast Ethernet compatible with standard Ethernet, because all over the world at that time they were using for network communication, they were using something called as standard Ethernet, and they wanted that fast Ethernet, if it is incorporated, it should still be compatible with the standard Ethernet. So if they, what I meant to say, wanted fast Ethernet to support even the standard Ethernet, so MAC layer cannot be changed. If MAC layer cannot be changed, indicates that frame format should remain same, and maximum data which can be sent and minimum data which could be sent. Minimum data was 512, what I meant to say, bits, that is half KB, and maximum size was 1500 bytes, that is 1.5 KB of data. This was remaining unchanged. To support this was kept in mind while designing the fast Ethernet itself. They said that MAC layer of standard Ethernet is not going to be changed. So frame format was not changed. Minimum and maximum size of the frame was not changed. It remained same. Right. And only the transmission rate was different. So here the goals of fast Ethernet was to upgrade data rate from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps, make it compatible with standard Ethernet by not changing the MAC sublayer, not changing the frame format, and not changing the minimum and maximum size of the data that can be transmitted, and keep the address of the destination or source to be 48 bits. MAC address should be 48 bits only, and keep the same frame format. So this is how the thing went. And for proper operation of CSMA CD, the transmission CSMA CD basically depended on transmission rate, minimum size of the frame, maximum network length. And if the minimum size of the frame was to be kept as it is, maximum length of the network should be, changed. You got the idea? Should be changed. So, in other words, I could say the minimum frame size is still 500 bits, is transmitted 10 times faster, because from 10 Mbps now it has to be transmitted at the speed of 100 Mbps. So 10 times faster it is. Collision becomes, very fast also, because the rate is fast. So collision will also be this thing. And detection of the collision should be 10 times faster, not like earlier mechanism. You got the idea. So the maximum length of the network should be 10 times shorter. Here, the length of the network should be 10 times shorter to support early detection of the collision, to support early detection of the collision. So fast Ethernets came with the two solutions. You got the idea, two solutions. So it was, to do away with completely the bus topology. So in fast Ethernet, they had done away with to support very high speed and to match the goal bandwidth enhancement from data rate of 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps, and early collision detection, and all these faster data transmission and all, to support all these things, they removed something called as bus topology, and they started using passive hub or star topology. So the maximum size of the network, that is the length of the cable, was medium, was 250 meters instead of 2500 meters as in standard Ethernet, right? To keep what I meant to say, compatibility with standard Ethernet. Now, second solution was something called as to use a link layer switch. You got the idea, with a buffer. Now, this link layer switch was with a buffer. Now, we had seen the switches without buffers, without storing capacity. So, these buffers will store the frame in and a full duplex connection for each host, to make the transmission medium private for each host. I mean to say, whenever data comes from a host, it will be stored in buffer. When the link is available for onward journey means suppose this is station, right? So suppose this is station A. So say this is station A, and it is connected. Of course, I am showing only hub. You got the idea? Only hub. So we have a hub here. So we have a hub here, and this is the buffer. So this is the buffer. You got the idea? And this is station, say D. This is station D. Assuming that A wants to send data, you got the idea? It will be stored here. What I meant to say, here the frames, whatever are coming, are stored here in the hub. And when this becomes free, suppose it was already there, now this particular frame was sent. Now one position, it gets free. The moment this frame goes here, one station, one what I'm say frame position becomes free. So this can be shifted here. You got the idea, one position, the second frame goes, then this can come here. And then, so like this, this extra store facility was created in this hub situation, hub scenario. So here, this was there. And in this case, there is no need for CSMA CD, because the hosts are not competing with each other in any case, because the data was, there was a separate line to send the data, separate line to receive the data, and the data was being stored at hub level, and collision was not, concern only. Collision was not the concern only. Right. So link layer switch receives the frame from a, sending the host and stores it in a buffer. You got the idea, waiting for processing. Once the processing is done and destination address, it will send the frame corresponding interface. So this is what is the thing. And since the connection was full duplex, the destination can even send the frame while receiving the frame from other host. So sending and receiving could happen simultaneously, right? So next scenario is there is new feature was added to fast Ethernet called as auto negotiation. Now auto negotiation was nothing but it allowed a station or a hub with a range of capabilities. I mean to say, so two stations which were to communicate with each other. Before entering into communication with each other, they could negotiate the mode of data rate operation, mode of transmission, or data rate at which the frame will be sent from sender to the receiver end. And it was designed basically to connect incompatible devices to connect with one another. This is the biggest feature that was added to fast Ethernet down the line. So a device with a maximum data rate of 100 Mbps could connect with a device with 100 Mbps. Now you are trying to connect a slow device with high speed device. So how this connection should happen? So it was through auto negotiation. So here the slow device which was sending at a rate of 100 Mbps will request to the station which was processing the data at 100 Mbps. You got the idea? So what could be done at hub level? I could, collect the data, all 100 MB of data, and send it all at once to the destination. So that demand could be met. So here, the scenario was something like this. You got the idea? This is a slow system. This is slow system. You got the idea? And this is a fast system. This is a fast system. And this is supporting a 100 Mbps data rate. And this is, so I have you got the idea, a hub here, right? So it can support the speed of 10 Mbps, right? It could support the speed of 10 Mbps, right? It could support the speed of 10 Mbps, and from here it was 100 Mbps, right? So it could support 100 Mbps. So if this be the scenario, 100 Mbps is the scenario. So this auto negotiation, now this station wants to communicate with this particular station. Now this station wants to communicate with this particular station. I have a hub here, and a hub is having a storing capability, like it is having the capability. Queue is there. I mean to say buffers are there. So it is equipped with buffers. It is equipped with buffers, temporary storage area, storage, this thing. So buffer is there, right? So it was having buffer. So 10 Mbps. Now, before transmitting the data, these two stations will enter into negotiation. A will tell to the station B, stating that what I mean to say, I can send the data only at the rate 10 Mbps. In that case, what buffer will do, it will store the data, 10 Mbps, 10 Mbps, 10 Mbps, and unless it becomes 100 Mbps, the moment it becomes 100 Mbps, it sends the data here. Both the demands are met. Now here what happens, if B wants to send data at 100 Mbps, but it can support only data rate of 10 Mbps. So again, buffers are used for, storing the packets and releasing the packets at the data rate of packets or framed at the data rate of 10 Mbps. So buffer had a big role. This central hub had a big role, and buffer had a big role to play with this kind of auto negotiation. And this is how the communication would happen, right? So the goal, basic goal of what I meant to say, auto negotiation was allow incompatible devices to connect with each other. So just now I have shown you a device supporting 10 Mbps of speed and another device supporting 100 Mbps of speed could get connected. That was not possible in earlier scenarios. And the second, what I meant to say, goal was to allow one device to have multiple capabilities, right? And to allow a station to check hub's capability. What is the buffer capacity of hub and all, right? So to be able to, what I meant to say, support 100 Mbps of data rate, several changes were made in the fast Ethernet at the physical layer level, right? So that topology wise, fast Ethernet was designed to connect two or more stations, right? So if there are only two stations, it is peer-to-peer or point-to-point connection, right? Three or more station needs to be connected in a star topology via a hub or a switch. Just now I have shown. So Manchester encoding was needed at level of 200 mbaud. Mbaud, the meaning of the baud is a number of data elements carried in a single signal element. Is called baud. You got the idea. So if a single can carry 2 bits, so here there is a single signal element which is carrying this thing. So we had already studied what I'm saying, bit rate and baud rate. And the 200 M baud were there as a bandwidth for a data rate of 100 Mbps, 100 Mbps, which made it unsuitable for medium, such as twisted pair cable. So fast Ethernet designers, what they did was, they wanted, this was the biggest disadvantage associated with Manchester encoding. So they wanted another encoding scheme, so they wanted, to have this. So to support high data rate, they went in for three different encoding schemes. So three different encoding scheme was, you got the idea? This is 10 base TX. So this is nothing but there will be four, what I'm saying, this thing, and this will support 4 byte or 5 byte, 4 byte into 5, what I'm saying, this thing encoder, this thing. So total speed is 100 and Mbps. And here, this will be 4 into 2500 Mbps, and this will be 125 Mbps. And here we had MLT3 encoder, which will send the data, and this is two UTP, category 5 cables, two UTP category 5 cables. Again, this decoding will happen, which is decoded into 125 Mbps speed with which it will come, and this again is split into 4 into 25 Mbps. This is again 100 base FX fiber cable. This is twisted pair cable, and this is fiber cable. And the scenario is same. So 4 bytes to 5 bytes. Okay. Now this is 100 base T4 cable. T4 cable means 4 category 3 UTP, 3 untwisted pair cable. So it was supporting higher data rate. So 8 byte. Here it became 6 T encoder. What I'm saying, this thing. So here 100 Mbps was the speed. So here, each one was supporting 25 Mbps speed. So, but here it could send at 100 Mbps speed, and it could receive at 100, Mbps speed, right? So this is how it has happened. Now we had the features of 100 base TX, 100 base TX. So 100 base TX, it uses two pairs of twisted pair cable, which is nothing but either category 5 untwisted pair cable, or you know shielded twisted pair. It is STP called shielded twisted pair. Unshielded means it will have a cover, plastic cover outside, and a shielded twisted pair will have plastic covering on the cable, and unshielded twisted pair do not have that plastic shielding, right? So this implementation, MLTE encoding scheme was used because it supported a very good bandwidth performance, right? And this MLT had a disadvantage that it was not self-synchronous. So you got the idea. So 4 byte or 5 byte block coding is used. You got the idea, to provide bit synchronization, right? So 4 byte is taken as input, and it is converted into 5 byte, right? To provide synchronization, bit synchronization. Because MLT3 was not self-synchronized. Earlier advantage of the earlier system was using Manchester encoding, which was a self-synchronizing system. Because at every change of the signal will either go high or low. So if the signal was high, on encountering a change in the signal from 0 to 1, will go low. And if it is 1 again, no change in the signal. If it is from 1 to 0, again transition will occur. In what I meant to say, Manchester encoding, where it was self-synchronous, but in MLT3 it was not self-synchronous system. So this line encoding system, the 4 byte was converted into 5 byte. This thing by incorporating some synchronization bits. You got the idea? Kind of thing. Data rate was now each data rate was, here we have seen, was only 100 Mbps. So because of increase in 1 byte position, here 4 byte is converted into 5 byte. So the data rate became 125. What I meant to say, this thing 125. What I would say, Mbps. So this is how it has happened, right? And 100 base FX, it uses again two pairs of fiber optic cable. But fiber optic cable, we have seen it easily handles the high bandwidth requirement. You got the idea? And the encoding scheme that were used were simple encoding scheme. It could be NRZI. You got the idea? NRZI. This is NRZ inversion. I mean to say that was there. But NRZI has a bit synchronization problem, as we have seen earlier. For a long sequence of zeros or one, you got the idea, there will be no change kind of scenario. So this is the problem, right? No inversion will happen. Only when 0 becomes 1, inversion in the, this thing becomes this thing. So synchronization will be a problem. Synchronization will be a problem. Like NRZI, you have, you got the idea. NRZI, you have, if it is 0 and 0, you got the idea, 0, 0, 0. So here, it is a low voltage. Now it is encountering a 1. You got the idea, 1, 1, 1 long sequence is there. So now this becomes, you can see here, it doesn't change. So bit synchronization becomes very difficult. Only when change is occurred. See, from 0 it becomes 1 here. So transition is seen here. From high it has become low. High it has become low kind of thing. So NRZI had this bit synchronization problem, right? So to overcome this problem, designers had used this 4 byte by 5 byte block encoding scheme. That means 4 bytes were converted into 5 bytes, right? And the bit rate was increased from 100 Mbps to 125 Mbps. So this is the final what I mean to say, fast Ethernet implementation. So where we had seen 100 base TX, which is nothing but shielded twisted pair cable, and medium length could be maximum of 100 meters, and two wires would be there, every time to support full duplex communication. And 4 byte will be what I meant to say, converted always into 5 bytes, this thing. And encoding scheme was MLT3. And 100 base, so baseband, this thing 100 is 100 Mbps. FX means it is fiber cable, you got the idea. And this thing is cable length is 185 meters, roughly 200 meters, I could say. And again, two cables were there, one for this thing. 4 byte slat 5 byte, that means 4 bytes are converted by 5 byte by adding synchronization bits. And here we had used the encoding scheme, simple encoding scheme called as non-return to zero inversion with inversion, this thing. And this 100 base T4 used shielded twisted pair cable, which was supporting 100-meter medium length, and 4 wires were there, right? So this is how they supported high data rate. So this is the summary of fast Ethernet. So this is summary of fast Ethernet.